No Gamecock game this past weekend, but still a lot of interesting college football. Highly anticipated matchups that actually lived up to the billing. A game-winning field goal, a double overtime game in the Big 12. A lot of fun football games to recap and get their thoughts on. Again, most especially Tennessee and Alabama, which has completely shifted everybody's opinion on the current. I mean, really, just the landscape and the power structure, I guess, of college football right now. Get very curious to hear the guys' thoughts on that. Plus, a few more thoughts on Carolina as they get ready for Texas A&M coming up this Saturday. But first, a chance to win some money.
It's time for your chance to win $100 and qualify for the $25,000 grand prize in our $25,000 signing bonus contest. Just text the following national keyword to 95819. Your national keyword to text is...
Guys, the national keyword is Jeff Heupel. No, I'm just kidding. It's Bucks. 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 Lots of bucks if you win.
Text that national keyword to 95819. Standard text messaging rates may apply. Please don't text and drive. The $25,000 signing bonus contest on 107.5 The Game.
And you might notice I said Josh Heupel there, and Wes and Chris, welcome into the show. Hope you had a good weekend. That's because not only Preston briefly flirted with upgrading Jeff Heupel to John Heupel, but decided after beating Alabama that he gets to be Josh.
His name is his name. He has earned it. I will put some respect on his name. His name is Josh Heupel.
This is the opposite of Mitch Trubisky going from North Carolina to the Bears and becoming Mitchell Trubisky. He's probably back to Mitch now that he's in Pittsburgh again.
I like John Heupel. Very sophisticated.
I like John Heupel. I like John Heupel too. We might upgrade him to that after he wins the national.
Yeah.
If that's, I can't believe that's a sentence that came out of my mouth, but it is.
Is that a prediction?
It's not a prediction.
It sounds like one.
I don't want to be caught up in the moment. But.
All right, well, Wes, I'm going to make you get caught up in the moment. We'll talk about the specifics of the game, of course, but what would it take for Tennessee to not get into the college football playoff right now?
For them to listen all week long when everybody talks about how good they now are, because they are the darling, right? It's kind of weird how many people were like secretly pulling for Tennessee, and like even the reaction. I'm seeing people online, they're like fans of other teams, and they're kind of like, "Hey, good
the evil empire, get them out of here."
Yeah, everybody loves watching Alabama lose, I think.
Yeah, and they got that great shot of Saban over there, just because you could feel
getting hit with the mustard bottle.
Like you could feel it bubbling to the surface, and you were like, "He's gonna snap at some point." And then he did.
We were watching. Somebody's like, "Man, Saban's been really calm." We're like, "Just wait, hold on a minute."
Like it is about to go down,
and it was great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always so violently epic when he unleashes his fury on the sidelines.
Preston, you asked me a couple weeks ago how long it would take you to get good at bad Photoshop, and so you were laughing. You saw Lane Kiffin do the bad Photoshop of the mustard bottle hitting Saban. I think if Lane Kiffin can balance it amongst all of his other endeavors, then you can knock it out in like an afternoon.
See, I just want to get good enough to be bad, because that's exactly the level I want to be at, is the Lane Kiffin level.
Yeah,
because I have so many ideas that come along and I just can't execute them, and it's frustrating.
You have like one of the most talented artists in the entire Columbia, if not South Carolina area, in your back pocket. You got to use that for evil sometimes.
Yeah, but he's so busy. He's booked. Kev got all these, I don't know, this ESPN type of company or whoever they are. He's got things to do.
ESPN, Preston's bad Photoshop. Come on, Kev. You know how to do the right thing.
Yeah,
here.
man. I just have tweets that I want to send out to 50 followers or whatever, man.
Well.
But I don't have the ability to execute. It's all about execution, as the coach is saying. I have ideas that I draw up in my head, but I can't execute them on Photoshop, and it really frustrates me.
Well, just outsource it to Lane Kiffin. He's on it. Mustard bottle hitting. If y'all haven't seen that, go find it. It's probably easy to find. I love Lane Kiffin. Chris, Tennessee scored 50 points on Alabama.
They did.
It's never happened. No one scored 50 points on Alabama since Nick Saban got there. No one scored 50 points on Nick Saban when he was at LSU. And it has been 23 years and 1 day since someone scored 50 points on Nick Saban back when he was the head coach of Michigan State. I think it was on the road at Purdue. I think Drew Brees was the quarterback then, who's already had a
Pretty
long
good.
NFL career. That's how long ago it was. Crazy. And
That is a stat.
it's insane. And Tennessee didn't have,
Cedric Tillman.
I was going to say their best receiver, but Preston was like, maybe they have a new best receiver.
They have a few good receivers. But yeah, I mean, Cedric Tillman has been a key guy for them. So, yeah, I mean, they did a great job of and by the way, Jeremy Pruitt, he left Tennessee some, the proverbial sack of dung
McDonald's.
on the he left that too. He did leave them a sack of dung on the porch, but he did give them a few gifts.
Yeah.
Parting gifts. That was
Like
very
leaving?
nice.
That was the most
Leaving
valuable
was
thing
the
he
best
did.
one, but also he gave them things like Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman and Hendon Hooker, actually, by the way, transferred when Jeremy Pruitt was the coach.
Yeah, which I forgot. I thought that was a Josh Heupel move, but
Yeah, John Heupel.
John Heupel, Jeff.
But man, they did a great job. Look, their system is extremely hard to defend, and when you have a really, really good quarterback and really good skill guys, and you win up front, which they did for the most part, both sides of the ball, they do a great job of getting their guys in one-on-ones, and their guys won them consistently. And Alabama's been kind of playing with fire this season, a lot, which, by the way, Tennessee has too. They are really good. I don't want to really forget this is a team that beat Florida by 5. Florida's okay. They're okay.
I like this.
This is
They
the zag we
also
all
went
needed.
to overtime with Pitt.
Great
You know,
game too.
So now all teams that go on and win a national title have at least one scary game,
Mhm.
and it's not always against some elite team. So I'm not discrediting Tennessee at all. I'm just saying before we crown them national champions, let's let them get through the schedule. They still have to go play. They play Kentucky, who's got a pretty good defense,
Mhm.
as Mississippi State found out.
Mhm.
They play at Georgia,
Mhm.
play Missouri, South Carolina, Vandy. They'll be favored in.
They might be favored in the rest of their games.
They might be favored in the rest at
Are
Georgia.
they favored at Georgia?
I don't think so. My opinion was going to be certainly they'll be favored against UT Martin. I'd say right now, sitting here, they're favored in 5 of 6.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be double-digit favorites in all of those games except for Georgia. If I had to guess, right now, according to the ESPN FPI, Georgia still has a 78% chance to beat Tennessee at home.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it'll be a couple weeks before we get a line. I think that's November 5th. Here's why I asked Wes the question the way that I did, though. If Tennessee loses to Georgia, win the rest of the games like they are supposed to, which doesn't mean that they will, but even if they lose to Georgia, avoiding the trip to Atlanta and a potential second loss to the SEC West champion might be their best argument to get in. And if they beat Georgia and they end with an undefeated season, and even if they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game, they're still probably going to have a good case to make the playoff.
Yeah, they are very, very well situated. I think the big concern that we're kind of just glossing over is that their defense does still give up a bunch of points.
Mhm.
Now they have I feel like there are some teams that are so good offensively that it almost just doesn't matter that they have an average defense because they're just going to score however many they need to score. And they're just the gap is that much bigger. I feel like for their offense against about everybody they play that it ends up just not mattering. And that's I feel like that's a fairly new development. Like I feel like football didn't used to be played that way. Like if you were going to win a national title, you had to be pretty good on both sides.
Mhm.
They may just outscore everybody they play. That Kentucky game, if that game was at Kentucky, I would feel like that was like a weird trap game potential for them. But looking at it, they got UT Martin this coming week. Then Kentucky, but that's in Knoxville. Missouri, I don't think is going to beat them. Vandy's not going to beat them. South Carolina is probably not going to beat them. I mean, it really does set up. Strangely, it's set up very well for them. But that's the great thing about college football. The second we think we have it all figured out, Kentucky will beat them 22-21 in some weird upset.
To zoom back in on the game, because you asked me, and then I went on a extreme tangent, like big picture. one of the other things we're glossing over, like in the game, and I've seen it mentioned, Alabama managed the end of the game very poorly, right? I mean, they have the ball. They get a first down with 45 seconds left at the 50-yard line. I'm sorry, the 32-yard line. So now you have at the end of play one, you have 34 seconds left. They threw 3 straight passes.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee was able to use 2 timeouts. They got the ball originally at the 32, their own 32 after the missed field goal, and they had 15 seconds left. They were able to use 2 timeouts. They had 2 seconds left when they kicked the field goal. So if you're Bama, maybe you're trying to be, maybe, we don't know all the data. Like they might have seen something tendency wise. Maybe it was how Tennessee was setting up their defense where they thought we've got some matchups here that we can exploit.
Yeah.
But you do have to consider if we throw 3 straight incompletions, now we're turning it over to a Bama kicker and Tennessee gets the ball back. They are more than capable of scoring on one play or definitely pushing the ball down the field with a couple of timeouts. So
yeah.
I thought that was not managed very well at all.
But you're kind of between a rock and a hard place, and this is the worst way that it could have played out for Alabama. But your other option is just kind of take the game into overtime, because like if you try to get yourself into field goal range, there is the chance of failure there. That's what happened. Tennessee got the ball and got the 2 first downs they needed to put themselves in that range. But I mean, maybe you could say the way the game was trending, because Tennessee up 42-35, Alabama has the long touchdown drive. Then they get the hashtag scoop and score. Tennessee responds, but it felt like Alabama had snatched a lot of momentum back towards the end of that game. I never like playing for overtime when you're on the road, and especially when it's a team that's an underdog, not a huge underdog, but the underdog at home who's gotten to that point. I think Alabama playing more conservatively and taking that game into overtime maybe would. I think that would have been more of a gamble than the way they played it.
Well, I just thought run the ball at least once, because then you're making Tennessee burn a timeout, probably.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't think you can get? They were at the 32, right?
Mhm.
So you end up missing a 49-yard field goal. Can you, in 3 plays, can you get 4 yards running the football? Can you get 5 yards? If not, fine.
Right.
But you've also got some potential bad outcomes passing it, one of which we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the worst possible.
You're talking about when they got all the way down to the Tennessee 32.
Yeah.
And then they throw 3 straight incomplete passes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Chris was saying you're playing for overtime. He's saying more you cut it down to where you're either winning the game or overtime, as opposed to it seems like in football, the decision when a team is like right at fringe field goal range late in a game is when the most bad decisions happen, I feel like. But there's kind of this, you're like, and in some ways I respect that Alabama didn't just say, oh yeah, we're in field goal range. Let's sit on the ball and run it down, and then you miss the field goal and you go to overtime. But this is the downside of being a little more aggressive there, still trying to throw the football when you're already quote unquote in field goal range, because the clock stopped multiple times. So then knowing how good Tennessee is offensively, you would have liked to chop off at least even if there are 5 less seconds in the game, you cut down one of those plays from Tennessee. Like they only have room for 1 play as opposed to 2 if they hit it. And it's just a different scenario for Tennessee. But knowing how explosive they were on offense, they take over. They looked to me like they were very confident they were going to go down the field and score. And that's exactly what they did. And there was no pressure on Hendon Hooker on those plays, which allowed those routes some time to develop down the field, I feel like.
You find out life's this game of inches.
It's back.
So is football.
Used to be a regular Monday. I guess last season it was a regular Monday thing for us, but a game of inches in a lot of ways. It was a really, really wildly entertaining football game. We'll talk about some of those.
No, I was just coming back from the break. We have these experts here in recruiting, and there's obviously the story that's been playing out. And I think it would be worth asking them some questions or helping some of us laymen understand what happened or what was going on.
Preston's been looking for an answer since about 16 Eastern Standard Time, Saturday afternoon. I've made him wait for almost 2 hours on this show now, but we have the recruiting experts. We'll talk about Jalen Hyatt and how he didn't end up at South Carolina next.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
Spending all day at the fair, just one big lump of lard over at the fairgrounds, just indulging in all the fried food I can find.
I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll just be passed out there in the middle, right by the rocket. So when all the kids have to go meet their parents,
meet your Bill at the rocket.
All the lost kids, yes, they get their parents can point at me as I'm laid out on a bench, and they can be like, "See, this is why you don't walk off at the fair. You end up like this guy. Look at this guy with that belly over there, just stretched out."
It's really sad. And you know what he does for a living? Talks on the radio. So
yeah.
This is a good teaching moment, children.
Such a sad. Don't end up like. Pay attention in school, kids. Pay attention in school.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Big Green Egg. Shop online for free home delivery at biggreenegg.com. Something green but not big? The Packers, who are broken. The Packers are reeling, the offense is dreadful, and they better come up with answers quickly because this is getting ugly. This is Damon Amendolara.
Hey, Jim Rome here. If you want to experience the unmatched flavor of natural live fire grilling, then look no further than the Big Green Egg. Forget the pellets, the propane, the knockoffs. Roll with the best. An authentic Big Green Egg grill backed by a free lifetime warranty. Yes, lifetime. It's that good. Grill, roast, smoke, or bake. It is easy to light. It's simple to use. Shop online for free home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's delivery to your door by a dealer in your community. Go to biggreenegg.com.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of GE appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Jeffers McGill offers the best customer service and lowest price on every GE make and model,
including GE Profile, Monogram, and Cafe brands. Jeffers McGill and GE, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Hey guys, it's me, wrestling legend Ric Flair, and I'm on a mission to help millions of guys put more flair down there with Mount Everest. Unlike generic ED treatment programs that can take up to 60 minutes to work, Mount Everest can have you standing at attention in as little as 5 minutes. You'll have an absolutely mind-blowing experience every time. That's because only Mount Everest offers a unique 3-in-1 custom compounded medication. Mount Everest will make you a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun like me every night. Don't lose another night to ED. Put some flair down there with Mount Everest. Woo!
See if Mount Everest is right for you. Go to joinnuimage.com now and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. That's join, the letters NU, image.com and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. Go to joinnuimage.com and save 20% with promo code RADIO.
Enjoy Gamecock football Saturday at Columbia Craft Brewing Company on Green Street. Whether the game is home or away, Columbia Craft can be your tailgate headquarters. Bring your own food, no beverages please, or grab something tasty from the lineup of local food trucks and enjoy with any of Columbia Craft brews. Locally owned and operated, the enthusiasm Columbia Craft drinkers have for game days is awesome. Join them each Saturday to experience a new kind of tailgating. Columbia Craft is proudly distributed throughout the Midlands by KW Beverage. Looking to try some of the brews handcrafted in Columbia? Go to kwbeverage.com and hit the product hunter to find locations.
Due to upcoming government regulations, the current minimum SEER rating for HVAC systems will change. It's time for you to call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Current inventory cannot be sold after December 31st. And as the year 2023 starts, customers can expect to pay an average of 30% more for a new SEER 2 HVAC system. What does this mean for you, the customer? There is no better time to purchase a new HVAC system, and AAA Heating and Air must empty their warehouse to make room for the new systems. No deals will be turned down. With our 15-year warranty and guaranteed financing, AAA Heating and Air have made it possible for anyone to get a new system. Call them today, 803-677-1500. You can enjoy new home comfort as quickly as tomorrow. 803-677-1500. Tell them you heard it here with Bill Gunner on 107.5 The Game.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Hey, Chris. We got integrated here.
The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
Twenty-two minutes after 11 o'clock, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on a Monday morning. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, talking Tennessee and Alabama. The game of the weekend actually lived up to the billing. We'll recap buy or sell a little bit later, but how surprised are you that we're sitting here on a Monday morning talking about Tennessee having won that football game?
Well, not to give away our buy or sell, but a couple of people here predicted it.
I couldn't remember who
Not
did. I
gonna
know
say
I
who.
did.
I couldn't say
But
who.
even for the people in here that did not predict it, was it close at least? How shocking is this?
I don't really think it's that shocking.
Okay. So you were just on the other side of the fence of the buy or sell.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it was very shocking in the game that they won.
Yeah.
Because even though they did jump out to the early lead, as I said, it had all the makings of Alabama's just going to run them down and just go run past them, and they never did it. So in that instance, for the actual game that played out, that was very shocking to me.
I think I've mixed it up on this show before, but the scenario that you laid out, isn't that how the Tennessee game started last year? Didn't Tennessee's, or was it Alabama had some game where somebody scored a bunch early?
I don't
Unexpectedly.
think Tennessee got out to 28 or whatever. I think they might have scored maybe the first drive or the first two drives.
Okay.
And then
I know I've
Alabama
already
sort of
mixed this up
woke
once in my head, but because we've seen what you said play out a lot of times. So
It did feel like late in the game, I was like, Tennessee's about to get their heart broken. Like it just felt like all this stuff has happened. Tennessee has come out. They've played a great game. They've done what they needed to do to put themselves in a position to win the game and get this massive upset. And it just felt like, is this going to be another one of those moments where the Alabama machine just, look, we're Alabama. We've taken all your body blows, but we're still going to just drive down here and win this game and then exit out as who we are, the champs. And it just did not play out that way.
yeah. Well, one of the huge X factors, local product, Jalen Hyatt. I want to ask you guys about his recruitment or lack thereof at South Carolina first, though. The great people at Integrated Media do a really good job of making it easy for you to watch all the terrific football games we have now.
Another local product. I always like going with people who, not the big box, you can get anything you need directly from Integrated Media. They don't just do the service, they even can provide equipment for you. So instead of walking into the big box store, people who don't know you, people who don't really care, to be honest with you, check out the guys at Integrated Media. Give my guys, Michael and Nathan, a call. They do everything that you need from an audio-visual standpoint in your house. In fact, I was watching some games this weekend and didn't have an Integrated Media approved setup. So it was okay. It was good for the most part, but had couple little issues in there, buffering and things of that nature. Make sure at your home that Integrated Media has you all set up, whether it's a strong internet signal so you can stream all the games simultaneously. Make sure you have enough devices to do it, have the right setup. Michael, Nathan, the guys at Integrated Media can hook it up for you. Give them a call, 803-948-8327 or integratedmediainc.com.
Short question. I'm sure it'll be a short answer. Why is Jalen Hyatt not catching touchdown passes for South Carolina right now?
Yeah, the short answer is the previous staff didn't offer and push for him. That's the short answer. If you wanted me to boil it down to that.
Was he class of 2019?
He was 19.
Was he? I thought he was
19 or 20.
2020.
I appreciate that short answer, but I'm gonna need to expand that out because it sounded to me like you said the previous staff did not offer or want that to happen. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
And
so the previous so I'll give a little bit more. I mean, sometimes when you get into the why of those things, sometimes it's like, why did a coach call this play? And the answer is because they thought that was the right move.
And not because Will Muschamp hates Jalen Hyatt's whole family.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely not it. And so, I mean, they had Jalen Hyatt in camp at some point. Wes, do you remember what year that was? Before junior year? Before?
I don't know. So he was class 2020. According to the recruiting industry, he was the number 174 prospect in the country, 4-star guy, number 30 receiver, number 3 prospect in the state of South Carolina. So recruiting rankings pretty much nailed it, I think. And it's taken him a little time to sort of get settled in and have his breakout, but certainly a guy South Carolina would love to have right now. And I think, from what we heard at the time, I don't know if that would have been going into his junior year or senior year. I think probably summer camp going into junior year. They had him on campus and basically did not think he was big enough or had the frame needed to add the weight to be big enough, and sort of put him in one of those categories of still being evaluated as opposed to offering him. And then they, of course, never offered. Tennessee went the other way and was like 100% on him. I think even if South Carolina had offered late, it would have been too late because Tennessee had put in. It's kind of one of those things. Hey, we want you.
Right.
So, who knows what happens if South Carolina offers at the same time, but there did become a point. I would dare say by the time Jalen Hyatt left Dutch Fork, like when he was a senior, I mean, I watched him play at Williams-Brice Stadium, and it was like, okay, I think it was already obvious.
So this isn't missing on Nick Emenwari, who was a little bit under-recruited. You weren't sure what position he was going to be, and you recruit him, and you find a diamond in the rough, and it's like it's less of a miss for everyone and more of a get for you. This was everybody thought that he was going to be good. How I understand that recruiting is it's an inexact science, it's an art, however you want to describe it. But with somebody like that has something approaching consensus, even at, what do you say, 187 or 185? How do you get that big of a chasm between the evaluations of two different staffs?
Well, I mean, I think for better or worse, in this case, for worse, Muschamp and those guys didn't really recruit based on rankings or other offers. Like they believed their evaluations. And
is that BMAC on that recruitment as well, I assume?
Yes. And, sometimes that's a great quality to have, that you don't get caught, because we have seen guys in the state of South Carolina before, especially early on, get a lot of hype, and then they end up being, a 4-star guy. The in-states don't recruit them, and people say, well, why aren't they recruiting this guy? Why aren't they recruiting this guy? And they go off to another school, and they don't end up having a big career. This was a case where they trusted their own eval probably too much.
Yeah, I mean, like kind of the opposite of it would be like Kevin Harris, right? Like Wes and I were sitting right there when Kevin Harris ran a 40 time at South Carolina's camp, and he got up in the 4.5 range, and they decided that was good enough to where they could offer him because they liked his film. And at the time, I think his offers were like Army, and he even after South Carolina offered, sometimes you'll see an SEC school offer and it's copycat, and now here comes everybody. That didn't really happen with Kevin. Some schools called, Tennessee called, Georgia called, didn't happen. And so, like Darius Rush is another one. Like South Carolina trusted its evaluation on that under the previous staff. It has taken some time. It's even taken a different staff too, but he is a guy that has NFL ability. But every staff has misses. This one I think is very notable, right?
Right.
And the biggest issue that I think I had with it at the time is it was hard to square, okay, yeah, this guy's not 215 pounds, okay, but he's extremely productive, and he was one of the fastest receivers in the country in that class. So if you're going to miss on the speed,
thing.
You know,
Oh yeah.
if you're gonna miss, his eye's a little small, but how about the speed? I mean, 4.3 laser, 10.4 in the 100, and produces.
And I have always felt if you're gonna miss, and by miss I mean miss an evaluation. If you're gonna miss an evaluation, at least do it local and with speed. And he had both. So if I have to make this decision, do I take him or do I not? Well, he is local and he is fast.
The local thing's interesting. I hate the speed though, because that was why the Detroit Lions went like 0-16 for 5 straight years, because they just took the fastest guy at every position in the draft and they were terrible everywhere. So the speed thing's tough for me.
The caveat that Chris mentioned was that he was productive also.
Yeah.
So if you go through and look at his senior year, I mean, his highlight tape was of him making one-handed catches, diving in the end zone. I mean, doing wild things for a high school player. So as Wes was saying, anybody with any discerning eye watching him play high school football, watching what he did on Saturday is kind of like, oh yeah, that dude was really good even when he was playing in high school.
Yeah. Putting a pin in this, I got a very interesting text here from an unnamed texter that will also kind of help contextualize this for South Carolina. But real quick, as we go to break, Jalen Hyatt caught more touchdown passes against caught as many touchdown passes against Alabama as every single South Carolina wide receiver on the entire team has caught total in 6 games this season. So do with that information what you will. 803-404-6100. A few more thoughts on Tennessee, Alabama, Jalen Hyatt, South Carolina, etc. next.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100%, feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
After being almost $500,000 in tax debt, I was listening to the radio one day and heard a ad for John Ecton Law Firm. So I gave him a call and met with him, and he gave me the confidence to trust him after the reason behind my tax problems anyways was trusting someone I probably should have never trusted. He did everything he said he was going to do, and then some. His staff at the office were great, very knowledgeable. With John's help, I have no tax debt now, and I was able to have a family that otherwise I would have never been able to have.
It's great to know we have changed people's lives for the better. Hi, this is local attorney John Ecton with the Ecton Law Firm. For over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses solve tax problems for good. So if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call our office today at 771-9800 or go to EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Let's get your tax problem solved for good. Call today. You'll be glad you did.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:37 on a Monday morning. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson Fowler, Preston Thorne, Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell here with you. Talking a lot today. Of course, no Gamecock game this past weekend. Tennessee, Alabama, justifiably grabbing all the headlines. A much anticipated game, a really entertaining game that came down to the wire, and one that now has Tennessee as the centerpiece, or at least the main talking point of college football for this week and possibly the foreseeable future. Could be, kind of the fun story for non-SEC fans in college football this year. And of course, within that, 5 touchdowns for Jalen Hyatt from Dutch Fork, went to Tennessee, trying to unpack exactly what went wrong for South Carolina in the eval there. A few more questions and a few stats and observations from a couple of textures that I want to get to in just a second. But first, Gamecock Moving is one of the sponsors of what we do here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Wes actually took advantage of their moving services very recently and had a very pleasant experience.
I did, and you can do the same. GamecockMoving.com, 803-814-3569. Very just smooth process, which is something you don't normally say about moving. They do have discounts for Prisma Health employees, any college students, all active duty military personnel. And right now, for anybody who mentions this show, you will get a discount as well. Again, that is 803-814-3569. They have residential and commercial moving services, licensed, bonded, and insured. They're able to help you move anywhere in the state of South Carolina. They can also assist with out-of-state moving, locally owned and operated since 2017. They do treat your belongings as if they were your own. And as I've told everyone, they will do as little or as much as you like. So even if you want them to just come in and pack up your entire home, put it on a truck, take it to your new house, and unpack it, they will do that for you. Again, GamecockMoving.com, 803-814-3569.
So this is not fun because you two know everything and because you have your computers open. So don't cheat. The year that, well, and I'm just taking this texter's word. He might be a year off, but he might be right. I can't remember. The year that Jalen Hyatt went to Tennessee was the same year that Carolina brought in, 4 pass catchers?
Oh, God.
All right.
Preston, you're going to love this.
Oh, God, what was the kid that they took twice? Taquan Johnson? Taquan Johnson? Was that?
It could be. That was not one of the 4 that the texter mentioned.
That Wes just said is never a good thing
Right.
almost when you say the kid they took twice, because that's happened. Remember, I think Justin Thomas way back in the day
Didn't
set
that
the
happen
record.
with the DB in this
Took him like
upcoming
15
class
times.
for Carolina?
Upcoming class. 2023.
Yeah, wasn't there someone that committed and then decommitted and then recommitted?
Oh,
yeah. No, we're
but
talking about that they signed him
signing him
twice.
twice.
Oh, really?
Literally signed
Yeah.
him.
Oh, weird.
Like you go to prep school,
Oh, I see.
sign
Yeah,
him
yeah.
in 2 classes.
Not the, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
That was otherwise that class otherwise had some pretty good players in it. 2020.
Yeah, that's the weird part about all this is it's easy and fair in this case to say, like, how did Muschamp but it's not like Will Muschamp was a bad recruiter in general.
I have 3 of them.
Okay.
I think.
Let's see.
I might have 4. All right. Rico Powers, Mike Wyman, Jakari Caldwell. And now see, Taquan was in the 18 class originally.
Here's your hint. He's still playing for South Carolina.
Omega Blake was 21. He's the next class.
And I said pass catching option, not wide receiver.
So it's a tight end? Oh, Jaheim Bell?
Jaheim Bell.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going receiver. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, I could have sworn they took 3 wide receivers. Yeah.
So to that, That's from an unnamed texter. My friend Joe texted me, said Hyatt had 5 touchdowns on Saturday. The 3 wide receivers, so Hyman, Caldwell, and Powers, combined for 5 catches by the time they transferred out. Rico Powers had 4 catches in his career. Ja'Cory Caldwell had 1, and Michael Wyman did not have a catch in his career. So 5 catches, 5 touchdowns against Alabama.
I mean, that right there is a reason, that combined with, not taking Jalen Hyatt or offering him, those types of things are the reason that it's been a storyline for like 3 years about, okay, receiver, who's going to step up,
Right.
because early it went well. Like they had Deebo Samuel as a holdover, right? His first year was 15. So you have Deebo Samuel as a holdover. In Muschamp's first class, Brian Edwards was committed. You keep Brian Edwards, you get him. You get Shi Smith in the 17 class. Those ended up being your best 3 receivers of that era.
Right.
Other than that,
Ortre was like a good get, but then his career was derailed by injuries.
I mean,
so
he
like,
had
there were some
so
solid
many injuries. Yeah. But there were a lot in there of,
Hurst was a holdover as well.
Yeah, he was. Yep. So yeah,
Perry Orth gets the credit for
that's right,
recruiting Hayden Hurst.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's going way back.
Perry Orth, by the way, also unleashed one of the greatest plays in the A&M series. Of course, the 66-yard run, the Orthquake. They did not win the game because they have not won one yet. But
that was a pretty good game.
That was a really good game. I have an A&M stat later, by the way, to unleash.
Saving it?
Do it anytime. Preston has a point.
Yeah, because I'm like the dog gnawing on a bone right now. Like, not going to let this tire go. I think there's a big difference when you're saying that the previous staff, there's a big difference in recruiting, and y'all can explain a little bit between taking and offering. So you said that at one hand they didn't take Jalen Hyatt, but on the other hand they didn't offer him. Can you explain what the difference is between maybe not taking a commitment as opposed to not offering a recruit?
Yeah, there I was just trying to use a little bit better language, but there can be a difference. I mean, sometimes you'll see guys getting offers are so common nowadays. I mean, when you're offering kids that are freshmen in high school and sometimes they haven't even played a varsity
Lane Kiffin
game.
tried to offer a 10-year-old on Twitter the other day. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, not surprising. So a lot of times you'll see offers go out, but you're kind of you want to kind of get in the game, so to speak, because nowadays in recruiting, if you don't offer, and if the kid's now a junior and he's got 30 offers and you haven't offered, if you come in late, it's kind of like, why didn't you offer? So a lot of times you want to offer, get in the game. The kid's probably not going to commit early anyway. And if he's not a no-brainer, I mean, there's a lot of no-brainers that get these early offers. You want to see how he progresses. You want to still have him in camp. We've seen, there was a guy that we saw in camp one year who was a 4-star kid. Brought him in and he had been offered, so to speak. Saw him for about 5 plays and knew he didn't have an offer after that. So, I mean, that type of thing happens. In-state guys, you got to be more careful with in terms of if you offer a kid in-state, there are exceptions, but you need to be ready to take his commitment.
Yeah, and I think Preston's question brings to light, like, yes, a guy can be offered, but then they maybe try to commit and they realize, I don't actually have an offer.
It's so weird. I don't like that.
The other side of that, and I think what Chris was maybe alluding to, is that South Carolina, let's not assume if South Carolina offered that Jalen would have come to South Carolina.
Right.
Like, we're all, most fans like look at it like, oh, you didn't offer him. He could have been on this roster. Well, there's no guarantee that he wouldn't have just chosen Tennessee anyway.
And that's a really great point that we always need to keep in mind, because we all have this romantic idea about this kid playing at home and wanting to, and you know what, man, you might just want to not, you grew up in Irmo, maybe coming 30 minutes to college is not the thing because you don't want your mother showing up at your dorm room or something like that. I don't know what it is. So maybe you just want to get away. We're not speaking any specifics here, but my overall general point is that he never had the option because he didn't get offered. And for that staff to think that a player is good enough to play at Tennessee, but he's not good enough to play on that team's roster. It shows one that they missed that evaluation. Obviously not saying that, but the bigger point I think is that they had no interest in being long-term investors in the state as a whole or what the product was going to be. I don't know if they were planning to be here for a while, but they did not plan on building their program on what was going on within this state.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, one foot out the door, it felt like kind of at all times.
If it was going to work, to me, it always felt, and again, whatever, they're all doing well, so who cares if we're talking about them? They felt like South Carolina was beneath them, below them, and even the players within the state. If you weren't going to be a high marquee player, they felt like they can go get a 3-star guy from Florida would be better than a 3-star guy from South Carolina or something along those lines. And that's just the general feeling that I had. And I think this is how you see that. For as much as we want to say, oh, well, that's the last act, let's just move on. Well, sometimes you just can't move on because there's still remnants of what those people did or were doing to the program. So
yeah.
I think that's important to see.
Well, I get like Nick Emenwari probably helps from a fan base perspective and maybe from a local perspective, taking a chance on someone that was a little bit under recruited that has panned out. You just gotta get a couple more of those and then don't let the what we talked about it, I guess, a lot during the summer. Like what does Carolina have committed right now? Like 3 of the top 5 recruits in the state of South Carolina?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I guess starting to mend those bridges and restore those relationships to the extent that they were damaged. But 803-404-6100. Any more thoughts that you have on the Tennessee-Alabama game or anything else that happened in college football this weekend? It was a really entertaining weekend top to bottom, but of course, a lot of meat on that proverbial bone. We'll recap buy or sell. We did talk about the Tennessee-Alabama game, a few other games that we picked as well as sort of a proxy in our buy or sell segment with no Carolina game. So we'll let you know how everybody did on buy or sell next.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Hey Midlands, Gus Hurlong with Midas Auto Service and Tires.
This is DK Joyner for Midas in the Midlands. I will not take my car anywhere for service but Midas. Total car care. Trust me, you will win at Midas.
Thanks, DK. And don't forget to ask about our loaner cars while your vehicle is serviced.
Government regulations for HVAC systems are changing in 2023. What does that mean for you? It means the time to save is right now. Contact AAA Heating and Air, who must clear out their warehouse to make room for these new regulated systems. No deals will be turned down. Plus, you get a 15-year part and labor warranty, guaranteed financing. Anyone can get a brand new HVAC system as soon as tomorrow. That's AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Spooky season is here, and there's nothing scarier than dingy, dirty, crunchy carpet under your feet. Trust no one other than the cleaning experts at Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to save your home from the dirt monsters. With over 1,900 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating, Zerez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is the most highly reviewed cleaning company in the Midlands. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Schedule your cleaning online, ZerezColumbia.com.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of Whirlpool appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Whirlpool offers bigger, better, and more efficient appliances. And Jeffers McGill offers the best in customer service and low prices. Jeffers McGill and Whirlpool, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
on the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
11:51 on a Monday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. A couple of minutes left here. It was a fun weekend of college football. This time tomorrow, we will be, I'm assuming, like way deep into Texas A&M. Shane Beamer has his first press conference tomorrow. Jimbo's press conferences, I believe, are normally in the mornings, and I know they're on Monday, so I'll be very interested to see what the injury report for Texas A&M is heading into the South Carolina week. But seeing as they didn't play this weekend and there were a lot of other interesting games, let's go ahead and recap our buy or sell, which doubled as sort of a pick segment for us.
Yes. Should I tell everybody about our buy or sell sponsor as well?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me tell you about my friend Kendall Walsh. She is a realtor right here in town at the Moore Company. 803-414-3590 is how you can get in touch with Kendall. That would be a no obligation phone call. Workwithwalsh@gmail.com is her email, and give her a follow on Twitter and Instagram at workwithwalsh. She's a 2-time graduate of the University of South Carolina, a Columbia native. You may remember Kendall when she was Kendall Belk as the first ever assistant director at the Gamecock Club. Much like I told y'all with Gamecock Moving, Kendall helped us through the home buying process, made it incredibly smooth, and she can do the same for you. I know it's a little bit scary out there right now, but if you call Kendall, she will help walk you through the process and help you buy or sell the home that you want. Again, 803-414-3590.
So what we pick?
How do y'all feel about your picks looking back? What's your gut feel?
I did well in the Mason-Dixon lines, but I don't know if I picked this. I think I picked the same way.
Okay, so easy one first. We all bought Michigan -7 over
Good.
Penn State.
Good for us.
So we all felt pretty good about that. Clemson was a 3.5-point favorite against Florida State. Yeah, I believe, Pearson, you picked the Florida State upset.
I did.
Clemson's
trash. That's why.
Preston and Chris bought Clemson -3.5, so they were on the winning side of that. I sold it. I had, I guess, a Clemson win by less than 3.5, and no. So, so y'all are 2 for 2.
2-0.
Alabama -7 over Tennessee.
Oops.
Pearson bought that. Preston and
Wait, I bought what?
You bought,
I definitely bought Tennessee.
You bought Alabama.
No, I definitely bought Tennessee. Really?
Yes.
No.
I'll go back and check the replay.
Yeah, I'm going to pull the tape on that because I picked Tennessee +7 in Mason-Dixon lines. Weird. Okay. All right.
Preston and I picked the UT upset. I know that for a fact.
I'm pulling the tape on that because I definitely pulled. Anyway, continue.
Okay, and Chris sold Alabama -7. So, all right, and Chris picked Kentucky straight up for a win.
I know I got this one wrong.
That's what I'm most proud of.
Preston picked Kentucky with the points.
Duh.
Of course, and then Pearson and I bought Mississippi State.
Come on, man.
It's Mike Leach, man.
Yes.
My favorite SEC coach against my least favorite SEC head coach.
Listen, I'm not going to drone on about the culture of Kentucky, but I'll just say it helped them rebound and perform well the next week. So was that 3 for 3?
4 for 4?
4 for 4. 4 for 4?
And I was technically 4 for 4, right?
Pretty hot.
Technically. Yes, you were.
But I didn't pick the Tennessee upset straight up. That was the
he got the bonus point.
Yeah, Preston was 4 for 4 with the bonus. The power up.
Yes.
You got a power up for that. You have a power up button of some sort?
This kind of counts.
It's over 9,000.
That's
Okay, that
Vegeta.
works.
Preston gets the final word on the buy or sell by Kendall Walsh of the Moore Company.
Final word is, if there's a recruit in the area who's on the verge, please let's give him a look, give him an opportunity. We'll take marginal local guys instead of marginal guys from other places. This has been your South Carolina announcement.
Cam Smith isn't doing. If Cam Smith Sounder isn't doing the job recruiting, I don't know what will. All right, I'm gonna go dig up the tape on that buy or sell segment. Not that it would matter because I think Preston won convincingly anyway. I still got a couple of them wrong there, but anyway, that was fun. We'll be back to a normal buy or sell segment this weekend as Carolina takes on Texas A&M this Saturday, and this time tomorrow we'll be talking a little bit more about that game, some of the matchups, a huge opportunity for South Carolina ahead. But that is all we have time for today. Thank you all so much for being a part of the show and listening. As always, for Chris, for Wes, for Preston, I am Pearson, and the halftime show is next.